What's going on guys, and welcome back to another video. In today's video we will be looking at the perfect $1,000 budget PC build that has the new NVIDIA RTX 3070 graphics card. This PC will be able to handle most AAA titles at 1440p and 4K resolution at very reputable frames. At the time of making this video, the RTX 3070 is not out, but as soon as it drops, I will be making a full build guide on showing you how to put this PC together and showing you the benchmarks. So be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you don't miss out. I'd also appreciate it if you can drop a like on this video, as it does help out the channel. So what this video is going to do is tell you what parts to get and why I've gone with them. All the links to each part shown in this video is down in the description, or you can go ahead and click on the first link, which is to my kit page, where you can view all the parts at once, and it'll even localize the Amazon links for you. So starting off with the CPU, you have two options. You can either go with the AMD Ryzen 5 3600 or the Intel i5 10400 or 10400F. The way I see it is choose whichever one fits your budget. If you're from the US, the Ryzen 5 3600 costs $200, while the i5 10400 costs $180. If you're from countries like India, the price discrepancy is even higher, as the Ryzen 5 goes for around 22,000 rupees, while the i5 goes for only 15,000 rupees. In my opinion, the i5 10400 is the best bang for your buck. It's a 6-core 12-thread CPU that performs very well in gaming, even outperforming the Ryzen in a lot of games, but not by much. I know it doesn't have overclocking, but that can be a good thing, especially for first-time PC builders, as you don't have to worry about any overclock settings. And besides, the overclocking on the 3600 doesn't improve performance enough to be a deal breaker. The other reason I'm going with the i5 is because of the motherboard selection. There are some really good B460 series motherboards priced very competitively compared to AMD's mid-range options. And so for the motherboard, I've chosen the Gigabyte B460 HD3. It's a full-sized RTX motherboard that costs only $90, which, by the way, if you were to go for AMD's B450 or B550, you would have to pay well over $100 for a decent full-sized RTX motherboard. It's got a lot of features that you would expect from a good motherboard, such as 2 M.2 slots, 4 RAM slots, and dual PCIe X16 slots. It's also got a very good aesthetic. However, if you do go for the Ryzen 5, the motherboards that I would recommend are either the MSI B550A Pro or the Gigabyte Aorus B450 Elite. As for RAM, I've chosen 16 gigs of the Corsair Vengeance LPX with a clock speed of 3200 MHz. And I am aware that the B460 motherboards limits the RAM speed to 2666 MHz, which is a shame, but nevertheless, it is what it is. For storage, we have gone with a 512GB SSD from Team Group. This is meant to install your operating system and your first few games. I would recommend getting a secondary 1TB or 2TB storage to store more games, but at this budget, this is what we're going to go for initially. Now, moving on to the graphics card, we are of course using the RTX 3070 GPU, which isn't out yet, but chances are by the time this video comes out, it might be. So this GPU has an MSRP of $500, and hopefully it will also retail at that price. And the performance of the RTX 3070 is claimed by NVIDIA to be even faster than that of the RTX 2080 Ti, which is insane because that graphics card retails for over $1,200, which costs more than this entire build. If you're worried about bottlenecking, whether you go for the Ryzen 5 or the i5, I'm here to say that it won't be a huge problem. You see, as you increase the resolution, the less CPU dependent games become, so at 4K or at 1440p resolution, you practically won't see any bottlenecking. Where you will see a difference is at lower resolutions, say at 720 or 1080p, because then there are a lot of frames and thus it becomes more CPU demanding. For power, I've chosen the Thermaltake 700W power supply. It's 80+ certified and doesn't have ugly cables, and for $67 I say that's a steal. And lastly, moving on to the case, you're pretty much free to choose any good ATX sized case. My recommendations are the Phanteks Eclipse P400A Digital or the Montech X1 ATX case. The P400A is one of the best airflow cases that you can get right now, with a front mesh panel and 3 pre-installed RGB fans. It does cost $85, but in my opinion, it is definitely worth it. The cheaper option is the Montech X1. This case only retails for around $53 and it has 4 pre-installed multicolored fans. It's not RGB, so the multicolor stays static. It also has a tempered gloss side panel and a mesh front panel. So if you go with the X1, the total price of this build literally costs $1,000, whereas if you go for the P400, it costs a little higher than that. So with that being said, that wraps up this build. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, and also be sure to visit my kit page where you can view this build as well as all my previous build and simply buy everything off Amazon. I will also leave individual links down below and be regularly updating them if prices go up or if they go out of stock. Make sure to smack that like button and subscribe for more, and as always, thanks for watching.